Alrighty, so I think I'm live. I'm coming via Zoom today because I wanted to answer this question that I'd received from one of the ladies. I'm assuming she doesn't mind being named, so I'm going to just say her first name, Heidi. Happy Friday to you all, by the way, and I'm coming in live into the Facebook group this week rather than doing it on my page. I'm kind of playing with whether I just keep it to these groups or not, or whether I go to a wider audience. But anyway, so question of the week this week is a really good one. So I hope that I'm going to do it justice. I haven't read the question since it came to me on New Year's Eve. I didn't have my phone open, so I didn't actually read it until Monday. And it's like multi-layered. Okay, so if you're here watching this, let me know, say hello. If you're watching this later, let me know on the replay. So this question from Heidi, she says, what is this feminine power I keep reading about? Am I in masculine energy just because I work and pay the bills and put air in my tires? Question mark. Am I in tune with my femininity? Am I both? When with the kids, I'm a parent, creator, comforter, and I try to be fun. Some women can be cute and flirty naturally. Is that feminine? She's put, lol, so many questions. I'm sure it's within me. It sounds like something that's been spoken about in the world of self-discovery, blah, blah, blah. So this is a really great question because there's lots of lots of questions within that, Heidi, and I'll do my best to answer it, but I want to caveat this with I have been learning about polarity, masculine and feminine energies for the last 18 months, I would say. So I'm by no means an expert at all. But what I am is interested. What I am is curious. What I am is a woman who has suffered with debilitating anxiety most of her life and addiction issues for some of her life, and came across an amazing understanding which has changed and transformed my life. So I now deeply understand and see this in my clients that I am not broken, you are not broken, there's nothing wrong with you, and you have innate mental well-being and resilience at all times, right? So I understand that very, very deeply. Now, the next layer of my own learning has been around masculine and feminine energies, the polarities that's always working within us at all times. But that's like kind of going a level deeper to from the subjects that I've been teaching for the last 4 years. So that's what I wanted to caveat that with, because as I said, I am by no means an expert, and I am playing with this. So my understanding, Heidi, is that every single human being has an energetic polarity. And I also learned this in my yoga teacher training in India back in 2017. So those of you that you do yoga may probably be quite familiar with what I'm about to say. And if I get something wrong, or you're more of an expert in this than me, please let me know. Please leave your comments below, because this subject to me is fascinating. And as I said, I'm on an experiential learning with it. So every single human being has a masculine and a feminine within them. So this is not gender specific. This isn't about all men are masculine, all women are feminine. This is about having a masculine and a feminine, a yin and a yang within each of us at all times, like regardless of your gender, regardless of what you identify as. This is going on all the time. Now, as a woman, I would say I probably am more dominant in my feminine energy. And I equally know women who are more dominant in their masculine energy. And I know men who are more dominant in their feminine energy and men who are more dominant in their masculine energy. So can you kind of feel into that a little bit? If what I'm saying to you doesn't resonate at all, switch off, don't listen. It's absolutely fine. Now, where this gets interesting is that we have been living in a patriarchal society for thousands of years now. And prior to that, men and women lived in harmony. Gender, men and women lived in harmony. They worked in harmony. They worked together, and women were revered. And goddesses and gods were worshipped, so that the feminine deity, the feminine energy, was just as important in society as the masculine. Now that kind of got, how can we say, shunted out through patriarchy. And you've all heard about witches being burned and witch hunts and women, basically women being murdered, women being killed. Some men who kind of, worked with the women. So healers, women who are more, or human beings who are more naturally drawn to being healers. They were burned, and it was predominantly women that were burned. And so what then came into society was this way of being in the world, which was more masculine dominated. And that includes Western medicine. So if you think about Eastern medicine, it's more of a holistic way of being, and lots of us are drawn to that: acupuncture, homeopathy, Reiki. And the female goddess, interestingly, is Hygeia. She's called Hygeia. So the word hygiene comes from the female goddess, but hygiene isn't what the goddess Hygeia represents at all. What she represents is movement, flow, creativity, spontaneity, inner healing. So you can see in our society at the moment that you can see this tendency for people to be more kind of goal driven, very, very busy, rigidity, structure, sort of the more masculine. And me as a human being has spent most of my life prior to, I would say, selling my business in 2017. Prior to that, very much in the kind of, I have to do, very successful in my first business, very successful as an addictions counselor. Everything was about order and being in that kind of masculine environment. But I was burnt out. Literally, I was burnt out. And in that space of burnout, I'm not really honoring the feminine, the female energy in me. Things started to go wrong. Dis-ease started to happen in my body, and addiction started to show up as I needed space to slow down. I didn't understand that. I can kind of say that to you on reflection. And so in Heidi's question, what she's sort of saying is, does it make me more masculine that I pay the bills and I put air in the tires? No, that doesn't make you more masculine. Those are things that we do that you may perceive as typically male jobs, male roles. I don't. As a single mother myself, I kept the roof over our head. I paid all the bills. I was responsible for the finances. I brought the money in. I looked after my father. I looked after my son. So I did everything, but without a male father figure for my son, I was then both the masculine and the feminine. And actually that's quite difficult to do. And that's a whole other subject potentially that we could explore. But just going back to your question, Heidi, I really feel that both should work in harmony. So this isn't about slagging men off. This isn't about slagging off the masculine energy. This isn't about talking about toxic masculinity, toxic femininity. This is about looking at society as a whole and working on our own healing of our own selves, with both polarities working in harmony together. So if I'm working in my power, where both are working together, which is how life should work anyway, the yin and the yang work together. One, complements the other one. I can show up, I can speak my truth, I can follow my intuition, I can run my business as I do from a kind of more female driven way, which is more creativity, more intuitive, more in line with how I feel on any particular day. Now, of course, I have clients and I fit them into certain time slots, but I also honor myself and my body and my rest first and foremost to be able to show up for my clients. In my previous 2 jobs, both as a fitness, the owner of a fitness business and an addictions counselor, I didn't prioritize myself in any way, shape, or form. I put everyone else before me. I would have bent over backwards to help anyone else but myself first. I wasn't my own priority in respect of anything. And actually, movement's a wonderful way to really get into your body. The way I did that was kind of to be very masculine, to be very testosterone. So I was, kettlebell, highly qualified kettlebell instructor, strength training, Olympic lifting, and I did all of that, and I ran and I ran and I ran and I built muscle and I was strong. And there's nothing, I'm not slagging this off at all, but in my own reflection of my life, I prioritized, and I didn't know any better. So this is psychological innocence. I prioritized the more masculine driven fitness regimes because I wanted to look like in a certain way. So there was this sort of drive to, be as strong as I could be so I could look a certain way. Under the guise of I'm doing it for my health. I wasn't. I was doing it because I had a very disordered relationship with my body and my health and food and exercise. But I think that comes from not understanding how to be. And of course, back then, as well, lots of people, wiser people than me, would say, you really need to do yoga. You really need to stop. And I would try and do yoga periodically. And I would either cry in that space. So I didn't want to do that. So I never went back. Or I would be like, oh, this is fucking boring. And I don't want to breathe. And because I got into my head, because I had space, because that's what yoga does, it gives you space. And I was completely disconnected from my body. I could do like 50,000 deadlifts, of course. I could swing my kettlebell, brilliant. I could run, fantastic. But I was disconnected from my body, from my being, from my soul, from my intuition. I was doing what I thought I had to do. So I was in a more masculine, wounded energy. So every time I tried to do yoga, which wasn't very often, I talked myself out of it. So in the space of yoga, I would go into my head, I would go into my ego, I'd start slagging myself off, comparing myself negatively. But because it opened up space, that scared me. That space scared me. So what I see, like Heidi's obviously, you have obviously heard something, and I know that prior to Christmas and New Year, I said I'm going to be spending some time exploring more this feminine energy, and part of that is, for me, it was resting. And resting is something that women don't allow themselves to do. Resting is something that we might want to do, but there's a whole list of things that are conditioning, our little fucker will tell us to do, even if we start to rest. So I made it my intention this Christmas and New Year to know that that was coming in, to observe that that was going to come in, and ignore it and rest anyway, and read my book and not look at my phone and do what I wanted to do in that space, be in nature, go for a run if I wanted to, go for a walk if I wanted to, do yoga if I wanted to. Now I realize, I know that I am very lucky now that I don't have young children. I no longer have to look after my father. And I've had a few emails after my Thursday Thoughts email saying, well, it's all right for you. You know, you don't have little children. And I did write that. And I think, yes, I know. I really know. I'm very lucky. But for 20 years, I looked after my father in a wheelchair. And for my son's still at home, not that I have to look after him, but, you know, he's 21. So I do understand. And I feel very grateful that I do have this space and time to be able to do that now, because it wasn't always that way. However, if I'd learnt this then, I perhaps wouldn't have gotten so burnt out and felt the need to get drunk as much as I did, because I wouldn't have been unconsciously looking for a way out of my thoughts and the constant criticism that came my way, or that constant blocking down of my female intuition, of my female energy. So what I hear and see now much, much more, now I'm understanding it much, much more, is that your body's very wise. Your body and your soul is always going to be trying to talk to you. So if you find that you're crying a lot, like, what is underneath that? Like, we might go, oh my God, I can't stop crying and I don't know what to do. And there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. Like, literally nothing. You are wonderful, perfect, brilliant, beautiful. You just don't know that. You don't know how powerful you are. And when you start to even touch the depth of your brilliance, of the power that you have as a female, and this is why I didn't want to do this on my main page like I normally do, because I don't want people to get upset, really. And as I've said, I can only speak from the level of understanding that I have. So it might be that next year I answer this question, exactly the same question, and it will be very, very, very different, because this is coming from my own exploration of what it is to be a woman post-menopause. Like, I don't bleed anymore. You know, so my life is going in a different direction anyway. I'm not fertile. I'm not driven by wanting to have a baby. That those things aren't there for me in my unconscious, in my subconscious, or in my psyche. I've done that. I'm moving into what's traditionally known as the crone. But in that place, in that space, we're more connected to wisdom. We're more connected to our body. We're more connected to intuition. And your body speaks louder. Your body speaks to you louder. She wants you to hear her. And where are you not listening to her? And what's showing up for you in terms of like dis-ease or illness or any of that stuff? Like, this is where, you know, I'm doing this amazing course at the moment, the Holistic Healer, 9-month training. We go into this, like the feminine in healing from the inside out. Like, I've spent the last 4 years doing mental health from the inside out, and now I'm learning about the body's healing from the inside out. You are an amazing being. We have masculine and feminine energies within us, but just think about this as, you know, one amazing energy that's got your back, one amazing intuition that's got your back. For those of you that do yogi, Shakti is the female energy, the female form of brilliance, of wisdom, of intuition, of what in the Three Principles world we call mind. Sid Banks calls mind. It's that power that you are, the divine intelligence behind life that you are all connected to. So you're neither one or the other, Heidi. It doesn't mean that because you pay the bills, you're more masculine. I think most of us in this society and in this Western society have lost our way. I think it's starting to come back into people's awareness. More and more people are kind of feeling the call of the feminine, of feeling the call to go a little bit deeper with their exploration, or they might be feeling that their body's not happy. Maybe it's just that you need more rest. Maybe it's just that you need to say no more. Say no and be okay with that. You don't need to explain your no. You really don't have to explain your no, because people will make up their own reason about that, and that will be in their imagination anyway. So if you've liked this and me doing it like this, what I might do is, because I get these questions of the week and I put them on my YouTube, I put them on my Instagram. If I do these for a bit longer and answer these sorts of questions, maybe I could put them on my podcast. Maybe I could do them in the group like this. Let me know your feedback if you are watching. You may not catch this later because, you may catch this later because I know I appreciate it's a Friday afternoon. Maybe I should do it at a certain time, but I'd quite like to do this, I think. I was thinking maybe I'll do a podcast episode in the group every new moon. But yeah, I'm going to listen to intuition. I'm going to start trusting that and using that and feeling into that. So yeah, good. I hope that answers your question, Heidi. I think it's really, I could probably create a whole course around the feminine. I think it's a really important subject for people to dive into and explore and get a feel for themselves. The desire. What do you desire? How can you receive? How can you take care of yourself? And how can you say no? There's 4 modules right there. Anyway, always wonderful. And yeah, I will talk to you very soon. Please give me your feedback about this. And maybe I'll stick this on the podcast. Lots of love to you. Take care.